Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, joined by Owen Parks, and we are doing the Wolves match preview. How are you feeling for the Wolves game, Owen? They've been quite good this season and defensively sound.
No, they're excellent. I think I think a lot of people at the start of the season expected Wolves to struggle. I think that it was that kind of thing. They struggled last season, and overall, did an excellent job with Wolves, and he left and he went to join Tottenham. It didn't work out, but Wolves, you thought they might struggle without him. And credit to Bruno Lage, he's just done the exact same thing as him, and improved a lot from last season and got them back up to the levels they were the seasons before that. And yeah, he's done really well. They're a very organised, experienced, streetwise team, and I wouldn't expect any more of that from Leeds and Wolves on Sunday. I think when you think Leeds and Brentford have come to Goodison, they've been pretty inexperienced and not very organised. I think Wolves will come in, they'll frustrate us. My worry for this game is very early on, they'll take the sting out of that crowd. And if we go a goal down, it might go against us, just in terms of the confidence at the moment and their ability to suck the life out of every game they play.
Yeah, just on Bruno Lage, he seems to be, and it's something I wish we'd do as a football club. It seems to be when Nuno left, they picked the perfect replacement in terms of a style, what would suit the players they've got. Almost a carbon copy, really.
Yeah, they play literally the same way, and they have done for the past, well, ever since Nuno took over. They've done the same. They might change from a 5-4-1 to sort of a 5-3-2. They might change the sort of basis upon that, but yeah, they play the same formation, pretty much the same players. It's rinse and repeat every year for them. They're a bit of a. People talk about this team and that team for models in the Premier League. I think they're really up there for what they've done since they've been in the Premier League, and they're fighting Europe every year for a reason. It's because they've got a way of playing. They've got good players, experienced players, young players, and a manager who fits them, and it isn't really complicated in the Premier League, and they've proven that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with them. Obviously, there's this game is at home, like you said. How important is it that we win this game and the next home game? A lot of people are saying that sort of relegation rides on these next two home games.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think my worry is if we get 4 points, I think would be fine. I think anything less than 4 points, then we're really asking for trouble. And 6 points would give us a nice, comfortable buffer above the relegation zone. Well, you'd like to think it would. But yeah, I think it's maybe a must not lose this one in preparation for Newcastle, which would be a must win.
I was going to say, which one do you think we're more likely to win out of the two?
Newcastle.
Not a problem. It just
because they're not as good. They're not as good, and they're around us.
I was going to say the Newcastle one. It's a very footballing cliche, but could be that, along with a couple of other games that we've got on the way down, could be a 6-pointer. Because, like you said, they are in and around us, and we need to sort of close the gap on them, because it looks like I'd say they're a couple of results away from being clear of it.
Yeah, the 1 or 2 away from it being pretty much done for them. But they have got a really bad run in and a few injuries, so we beat them. They're back in it. That's how we've got to look at it. We want as many teams involved in it as possible, and they've had a good run, but they were on 12 points a couple of months ago. So, I mean, it can change like that in the Premier League, and they've done well. They've spent a lot of money, and it turned for them, and everyone has had that money, so that's the advantage they've had. But they should stay up from this point. But you would still want them to be involved in it come the end of the season.
Yeah, hopefully we can drag them back down. Obviously, relegation is I think what everybody is mainly focused on now. What are your thoughts? Are you confident? Do you think we'll stay up? Do you think we'll go down? What are your thoughts? Or are you just taking it week by week, result by result?
I was until Monday night. I didn't think we would be as ridiculous as we were on Monday, but we went there and it was really poor, and I would like to think that we would play better against Wolves, but my whole sort of mentality towards it will pretty much ride on these next two games. If we don't get a win or points in these couple of games, then I'm gonna really start to press the panic button and think we'll be more likely to go than we will to stay up if we don't get the points. And these two home games are so important because the fixtures we got after them reads out like a Champions League last 16 draw. Honestly, it isn't good. So if we don't, I'd argue that we don't win either of them, we're as good as gone, to be honest, because it would just be too difficult after that. But we've shown in recent weeks. We played Man City, we played relatively well, and we still got beat. So even we play relatively well against the rest of them, it's still more likely we get beat than not. And that's the issue we've got. So 6 points, I'll only be confident if we get 6 points from them. Well, not from each game, but between the two of them.
Obviously, the Goodison Park atmosphere is being very sort of hyped up now. People are sort of trying to, boost it as much as they can. Why do you think we struggle so much away from home? Because obviously the away support is good. What do you think it is that makes the team look almost it's almost Jekyll and Hyde sometimes when I watch us at home and away?
Well, for most teams outside the top six, going away from home in the Premier League is not easy anyway. So there's a bit of that. But a lot of it is mentality for us, because we seem to hit any sign of trouble or controversy in a game, and we fold like paper. If we got that out of us, and there's arguably some talented players or everything, but what separates some talented players and not winning games between that and maybe the top players is mentality. It's purely mentality, and until that changes, I don't see us picking up many points away from home. But I did this sort of prediction sort of simulator of the last couple of days, and I haven't got us to win a single away game because I just can't be confident we'll go anywhere and get the requisite points.
Do we stay up in your prediction thing?
Yeah, we're 17th, but we do stay up.
Obviously, we've mentioned Wolves. We mentioned how tough they are and how solid they are. What do you think is their weaknesses that Everton sort of need to hope to jump on?
Well, they're not all that dissimilar to Spurs in a way. Is that if you defend well and do the basics well, then they haven't got many goals in them. They're a very creative team, and if you stop them getting in front, then you're more likely to win than not. So I don't know. I think their weakness is definitely creativity and scoring goals, and if we can sort that, then I think we'll have a good chance. But if we give them the initiative and let them take the lead, then we are going to be in trouble.
Obviously, the teams above us are Leeds and Brentford. Brentford are the ones I'm really looking at. Do you think who do you think's more likely to drop down? Do you think Brentford are the ones we should be really eyeing in terms of taking our place towards the bottom end of the table?
Yeah, I think Leeds and Brentford are as likely as each other, to be honest, because they're kind of similar in the sense that I wouldn't, you don't really trust them to win. So it is that kind of thing. I would argue that Brentford, maybe because they've only been in a year, they've been on a bad run. I know they won at the weekend, but it was against Norwich. If they went back on a losing run, then you'd struggle to see them staying up. Leeds the same. So I think either of them would be the most likely to drop from who are above us.
What about obviously? I know you're fond of Burnley. Do you think they've got enough in it to jump out of the relegation zone?
It's a difficult one because the below us, and if you're below us, you can't be doing too much well at the moment. But look, they've got the experience, and I'll be worried that they are capable of putting a few wins together more than Leeds and Brentford and maybe us. But you just sense that they've got a bit more about them than Leeds and Brentford. So I think it's a close one. I wouldn't be surprised if they went, but if they stayed up comfortably, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, looking at it, Dave, surprisingly, although they've only won 3 games in the Premier League, they've lost less than us. It's just they've drawn a lot of games, whereas we've lost 15 this season and only managed 6 wins.
It's that bit of quality, isn't it? I think when you don't spend a lot of money and you've got the lowest sort of wage bill and you don't spend a lot of money, you struggle for that bit of quality. I don't think I think probably if you look at the sort of relegation mix, they probably conceded the least amount of goals. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's just finding enough to win a game, enough goals. I think they lost Chris Wood, didn't they? And Chris Wood was key for scoring a lot of goals historically. I think Weghorst has done well, but it hasn't put the ball in the back of the net in the same way Wood did. So if they find that player to regularly pop up with goals, then you would suspect they'll be fine. But it is all ifs, buts, and maybes. They have to get results now in the same way as we do.
Obviously, we've mentioned Frank Lampard, and in the previous one, you mentioned systems changing quite frequently with him. We've seen a 3 at the back, we've seen a 4-4-2, we've seen a 4-3-3. What would be your go? What do you think Frank should do in terms of formation? Do you think he should stick with the 4-3-3 we've seen in recent weeks?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't change it. I think if we played 4-3-3 against City, and then we went to 4-3-4-3 against Bournemouth, and then 4-3-3, I'd like us to see us keep with that, and see if that can get us a result for a few weeks. If, like I said, I think if we went to something different, I would want. You can call it plan A, plan B. It can also be you're really struggling to find a way of getting results with the team, and I would like to see us keep 4-3-3 because I think it probably suits the players the most. But if it is 4-4-2 or whatever, just stick with it for the running and get that sort of experience playing the formation going forward.
What would be your starting 11, out of curiosity?
I'd go Jordan Pickford in goal. I would go right back Kenny, centre backs Branthwaite and Godfrey, left back Mikalenko. I'd go Allen, Decore, Van den Beek, Richarlison up front, and Graham Gordon on the wings.
Would you not risk Calvert-Lewin?
No, I said a couple of weeks. He's the last half an hour play for me at the moment. He's someone you throw on with half an hour to go and see if he can build some confidence up. He isn't doing enough to start games for me in the moment, and our best sort of performances and results have come playing. Gray Gordon and Richard, well, certainly Richarlison up front. So I would stick with that for this one. And if Dom scores a few goals off the bench, then you can look to start him. But he has to earn that sort of trust.
Do you think it's just that he's a little bit, behind the fitness, that he's struggling? I've seen him come on that he's got a bit of flack recently. Do you think it is just he's not fully fit?
Yeah, possibly. He did very well last season. He got us enough goals to get us enough points to finish comfortably in the top half. But the issue we had was he's had this season. He's barely played any games, and people are expecting that sharpness and that fitness when it isn't. When you haven't got that sharpness, it's difficult to when you're playing catch up and you haven't played games all season. You're behind everyone else, and I wouldn't expect him to start games at the moment. I think Richarlison did well playing up front on his own against Man City. He caused them issues in terms of that ball over the top. So I would stick with him for the time being. If we find that level where Calvert-Lewin can end up starting games because he's played minutes off the bench and consistently, then we've got a good option. But I don't think he's ready at the moment. And we saw when he played against Brighton, why Benitez for playing him for 90 minutes after he was out for about 4 months was a good idea. I'll never know. But we have to go from now with him, and he played poorly the other night, so he should be on the bench for this next one.
Out of curiosity, do you think a couple of people have whispered they might not suit Frank Lampard's system as well? Do you think that's the case? And also, would you sell him in the summer as he's still linked with Arsenal?
No, I wouldn't sell him. I think we might have to, but if we have the option there, I wouldn't know, because I think he's still a top quality goal scorer, and they don't put this way with a full pre-season behind him and starting games regularly next season. I would expect him to start scoring goals, and as much as we might have to sell him, I think if we can start playing him, then I wouldn't sell him.
Obviously, we've mentioned the relegation zone. The games you mentioned, it's a bit like a Champions League final 16. And looking at it, it is certainly, it gets quite hard. We've got obviously the derby, got United, Chelsea, and Arsenal on the final day. How many points do you think realistically, bearing in mind we do also have Brentford at home, and we've got Watford away, how many points do you see Everton picking up
between now and the end of the season?
Yeah,
I think I just on that thing I was talking about finishing on, I think 34 points, 35 points, and that just had us over it. I think it depends on the next two, of course, but I think we'll get about 36, 37. You'd like to think, and that will be enough, but anything below 35 and I'll start panicking.
No problem. Before we end, I want to know your score predictions for the Wolves game. How do you think we'll get on?
I'll be positive and I'll say we're going to win 2-0. We're going to quick start, and then we're going to go and nick another one at the end, and we're going to go home happy, and we'll kept the clean sheets, and we'll be closer to the safety mark.
I personally am going to go 2-1. I just clean sheets and Everton are just not something I'm going to put together at any point.
You're going to be positive, come on. You have to be positive at least before the game.
I'm hoping. I think we'll win. I can see one howler of a goal being let in between the calamities.
No, surprise me.
I've
I'm
got
surprised
Michael
we lost the
Keane
game,
on
but
it. I've got like an own goal or something because it's sliced off one of the centre backs' foot and just absolutely done Pickford.
Yeah. Well, I hope that comes after we've scored, because if they score first, it's going to be a mountain to climb.
Oh yeah, I think we'll. Well, I hope we'll get the first goal just because the team look a lot better at home this season. They look a lot more reactive instead of reactionary. But that is all I've got time for today. I'd just like to say, Owen, thank you for coming on and talking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Don't forget, guys, to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below your thoughts on the Wolves game, give us your score predictions as well. We're interested to see what you guys think, and stay safe.